Hi dear students, very good morning to you all. Once again, welcome back the another session of mathematics for economics in the economics. That in this session that I am going to discuss on the cost functions. This is the session of 2 under the subject economics. The paper is titled Mathematics for Economics. Let's move on to the next slide that we discuss about the what is it all about cost. A cost is one which will incur to manufacture in the industries that if a company is going to manufacture a product, they will incur the expenditure or they will incur the cost which will they are going to use the factors of production, particularly land, labor, capital, and then organization, and also with the technology, where they are going to use the technology for to give finished goods in their company. When you are going to consider if this is the cost, then what is all about cost function? The cost function is expressed as a function of output. Cost functions are of the following types, that is total cost, average cost, and marginal cost. If these three costs are under in manufacturing industries, then what type of the factors they are going to utilize and how they are going to calculate the cost is very much important. In economics, total cost, average cost, and marginal cost we are supposed to calculate with the help of mathematical tools. Let's begin, that is what is all about total cost first. The total cost of producing a commodity increasing as the quantity of production increases. Hence, TC, that is total cost equals function to Q. This is one way of to deliver, that is what is all about total cost. That is TC is f of Q. That is Q is quantity, that output that they are going to produce under the company, and then for that Q, okay, we know that the capital, labor, organization, and then land we supposed to utilize. When we are going to calculate that total cost to incur to manufacturing a commodity, then that output is Q. We are going to what you call incorporate, that is in the one way in which that we are going to taught. This is the way in the TC is always equal to f of Q, where TC is equals to total cost of production, Q is unit of output, as I said earlier. In short run, the quantities of certain factors remain fixed while the quantities of the other variables are considered. Hence, TC is always equal to TFC plus TVC, that is total cost is always equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Okay. If any cost that they are going to incur under the quantities of the other variable, that we consider under TVC. If any cost that quantities of certain factor remain, it is fixed in industry, that is called TFC. So, total cost is nothing but combination of TFC plus TVC, that is total fixed cost plus total variable cost is nothing but total cost. since fixed cost does not vary with the level of output. So this is what I incorporated in my first slide. Let's move on to the second slide. Okay. On the other hand, the variable cost increases as more and more units of output are produced. This is very much interesting for as far as the industries are concerned. That is, variable cost increases more and more when units of output are produced. Therefore, TC is always equal to AF F of Q. That is, total cost is always equal to A plus F of Q, means Q is always depending upon TC. That is, TC is dependent variable, A is independent variable, F of Q is again it is independent variable. These two independent variable are depending upon are independent variable, and then TC is depending upon these two independent variable, where A is fixed cost which is constant, and then Q, that is F of Q, is variable cost. Dear students, see the equation that I have incorporated for the purpose of that how cost going to be derivative in the company. See, average cost, if the cost of producing per unit of the commodity, that is AC equals TC divided by Q, or AC equals F of Q divided by Q. See, here the thing is, when you are going to have the average cost, then you must divide with the total cost with Q, that is quantity, that you may consider the variable cost. Okay. Or that when you are going to consider that average cost, which is always equal to F of Q divided by Q. So F of Q is variable cost, Q is quantity. So TC is always equal to A plus F of Q. So this is how the average cost is going to be calculated, and then total cost are going to be calculated. Therefore, if TC is going to be equal to A plus F of Q, then AC is always equal to A divided by Q, that is A means fixed cost which is constant. That is, average cost is always equal to fixed cost which is constant divided by Q, that is variable cost, or F of Q. It is not like that. F of Q is variable cost, Q is quantity derived, plus F of Q divided by Q. Therefore, we are consider this as AC equals AFC plus AVC, that is average cost is always equal to average fixed cost plus average variable cost. So this is how we are going to derive from the function of AC equals to A divided by Q plus F Q divided by Q. So when we are going to divide this one, that we are going to get the average cost, that is average fixed cost plus average variable cost. In turn, we are going to consider. Let's move on to the next slide, which will say about the marginal cost. See, here the thing is that in the previous slide we discussed about the total cost and then average cost. We know that the how the total cost will appears in an industry, and then how average cost appears in an industry. We know with the help of the equation. Here, when we are going to discuss about the marginal cost, this is very much important from the point of view of to derive the functions with the total cost and then average cost. Let's move on to the marginal cost, where marginal cost is the rate at which the total cost changes as output changes. The rate of change of a function is given by the first derivative of function, hence. See here what actually we discussed in the previous slides, that is total cost and then average cost. So total cost is nothing but that is, which is always depending upon A plus f of q. Okay. Here the thing is that in average cost is always equals to average variable cost plus average fixed cost, isn't it? So when we are going to discuss the marginal cost for that matter, in an industry they will always keep in mind to calculate the marginal cost, because industry always thinking over the profit of the company. So marginal cost equals to dTc divided by dq. D here it is derivative, means what amount of output that you are manufactured under total cost, always equal to dq. dq means that is quantity that you are going to produce, that is d we are consider it here it is derivatives. So mc equals dtc divided by dq is always equal to f of q. So when we are going to have the marginal cost, average cost and then total cost, the history with the industry or with the firm, then they are going to come across with not only the average fixed cost, not only average variable cost, but also they will come across that what type of derivatives they are under. So here manufacturing cost is always equal to dTc divided by dq, where okay, therefore you may take it as that is therefore Tc equals a plus f of q, that is total cost is always equal to a plus f of q, where mc is dA divided by dq equals dfq divided by dq. That means derivatives of A divided by derivatives of Q is always equal to derivatives of functions of Q, that is f of Q I said that it is variable cost, okay, divided by dQ, that is derivatives of Q. Therefore, when it is going to be dA divided by dQ equals 0, because total fixed cost is constant. Therefore, so MC is always, that is marginal cost is always dfq divided by dq, or you may call it as d into TVC, that is total variable cost, divided by dq, that is derivatives of q, that is output. Here f of q is the variable cost of the company in which that they are going to manufacture, and then dA which will define in another way, okay. dQ is simplifying with marginal cost, not with the total cost or the average cost, okay. So here in which that way in which that I am going to discuss with you people is that the rate of change of function given by the first derivative of a function, we are going to call it as, that is marginal cost. What is marginal? That is the additional unit of the factors that we are incorporating to manufacturing a product in any manufacturing industry for that matter, okay. So MC equals dfq divided by dq, or you may call it as MC. MC means that is marginal cost is always equals to TVC divided by dq. Here one more important thing that I have to mention, particularly in the marginal cost, where marginal cost is the rate at which the total cost changes as output changes. In an industry, when they are going to calculate the total cost, okay, that is total cost with what you call is derived from total fixed cost and total variable cost. As far as average cost is concerned, there is also the average fixed cost and then average variable cost are going to be considered. But here the thing is, in marginal cost, when it is the rate of change is going to be happen under total cost output, the rate of change of a function is given according to the derivatives. That is MC equals, that is marginal cost equals dfq divided by dq, or you may call it as d tvc divided by dq. So, this is what that I mentioned in this session, that is all about the session 2 that I discussed by topic taking that is cost functions under mathematics for economics. So, with this I will stop here. I will come up with the another topic in another session. Again, dear students, that I have taken all these references to do the study material, and then MCQs, and then PPTs. Okay, if anybody wants to read this book, okay, I will recommend Chiang AC is the best book for to know the fundamentals of methods of mathematical economics. That is publication by McGraw-Hill, edition 2005. It is the best book. As far as Dr. S.N. Yogesh book, it is also wonderful one, that is Mathematics for Economics, published there in Mangaldi publication. Okay, and then last one is that I and then Basil Hans written in Kannada version, that is Ganatiya Arthashastra, you may call it as Mathematics for Economics in English. You go with, that is HSRA publication, Bangalore. So, dear students, with this I will stop here. Again I will come up with next session. Thank you very much.